And it looks like we are good to go. Hey guys, we got
I
a
see,
couple
yeah.
of special guests here today, and I am excited to introduce uh, Gustavo and
Ah,
Guillermo from Chinaco Tequila. Talk about an amazing product with a absolute ton of history that I've had the privilege of Guillermo going over with me, and I am so excited to be able to share this experience with you guys as well. We got Guillermo uh, up there in the upper right hand corner, and down below we have Gustavo. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you just said it. Gustavo,
uh,
you're more in the warehouse, working with the tequila and stuff.
yes, yes, yes. I am in the warehouse and trying to look every package, every single bottle have a excellence in all of the phases of the production, and that's what I do.
And then Guillermo, you're kind of the face and presence of the tequila brand itself.
So, yes, CJ, thank you for having us. First of
Oh,
all, it's great to be able to interact to you and talk to you again and talk to all the community that you're building around tequila. And for us, it's an honor to be here. And yes, so we, Gustavo and myself, first like almost 4 years now. Time flies, you know. We have taken the leadership of this family business that has been in the market. The brand has been almost 50 years, and we have the honor now to lead this this uh, this brand that for us make us very proud, and we have the intention of continue to do it to elaborate an excellent product. But we also have that maybe in the past was not so clear. Also, we have the objective of sharing it with more people. That's why I don't want to say that we were the ownership and everything was kind of the shadow the last 15 to 20 years. But now with this new leadership, we are really want to share the brand and also share all the ideas, the innovation, and all the team that is behind the brand that is also very proud of what they are doing. So thank you for having us once again.
absolutely. It's my honor to have you both here with us tonight. We just when me and you have met several months back, and you were telling me about the history of Chinaco and some of the tributes and trials that you guys have gone through, to still remain a company today just absolutely um, blew me away. And I was so excited to have you guys come on and actually tell the story, just to give you guys, the other people, the the respect of, you know, what it takes to get the rest, get get to today, with your product, which I know is a which has been a long task for your family with some of the stories that I heard from you. So I'm excited for you to share it, and then have other people hear it directly from you, Guillermo, yourself.
No, no. Thank you, CJ. And as you mentioned, if you are okay with that, we have prepared a small material that I just shared with you.
Yes,
So maybe we can kick off with that. For me, and I like the title of the meeting is a Q&A. I hope I will be able to answer myself or Gustavo. And if we are not able to answer anything, but because the story is big and the complexity is big also in some chapters of the story, but we can get back with all the responses, because one of our values that we have reaffirmed in this administration is total transparency in everything. So whatever question, we will try to get back. So once again, thank you. So we prepared this small material in order for the people that do not know the brand to hear about the brand and to understand what has happened in the last 50 years. And the ones that already know the brand, I think we have some customers that I have discussed when I am in the US that know the brand, but they have not heard about the brand in the last 20 years. So I think it's also a great opportunity for us to share what has happened in the last 2 decades with the brand, and also what are our objectives and our values that we want to project into the future. So if that's okay, let's kick off. If you can move the slide, sorry, CJ. So I would like to start. I think I already mentioned a little bit of this, but Chinaco Tequila is a family-owned business that has been in the market since 1972. So it's 2 years ago, it was our 50-year anniversary, something that we are very proud of, and also something that makes us really proud, and also an honor that we want to be thankful with a lot of entrepreneurs that in the past help us to do that. Is, as you may all remember, because I don't know you, CJ, because you look very young, but tequila it was not what is today. 4 years ago, in 1983, the tequilas that were commercialized in the market have nothing to do, and the market of tequila had nothing to do with what we see today. And in that sense, Chinaco and the importers at that time were the entrepreneurs that bring the first 100% tequila to the US market and position it in a price tier that at that moment was something that nobody thought it was possible. You know, having a Chinaco Añejo at that time maybe was at the same price as a nice 12-year Scotch. When all the other tequilas maybe were, I don't want to say, because inflation I can make a mistake because inflation has changed. But what I have heard from my father, from my uncles is, you know, tequila at that time, as an example, was $1 a shot or whatever, or a toast, a drink, and a whiskey was $5-6. And today, and at that time, having a tequila of $5-6 was something that was thought to be impossible. But thanks to the leadership that we had at that time, and also to the importers, one of them was Robert Denton, that is also a strong figure in the industry. He also brought El Tesoro to the market, etc. Thanks to the work of people like that are truly entrepreneurs, and also demonstrate the Chinaco values that I will talk to you later, is that that we have a brand today that we are honored, but also that we have a nice industry, and we have enthusiasts as yourself and the people that are following are in this community, CJ. If you can click once again, sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
So this is my grandfather and the father of my uncle Gustavo. As I wanted to share a little bit of the heritage of the brand. So the grandfather of my grandfather was Manuel Gonzalez. He was the president of Mexico in 1880. And he was a war hero when the French came to invade Mexico, and he was one of the generals who battled them and won the Batalla de Puebla. That, you know, it's a big festivity in the U.S., bigger than in Mexico, the Cinco de Mayo. Even in that battle, he lost half of his arm. So his nickname was El Manco, that is the guy without a hand, you know. So he was always a very brave man and very enthusiastic. And my grandfather, I think he inherited a lot of his values, and how Chinaco originated. A part of the passion of my grandfather towards this spirit that he always loved. In the early 70s, there was a big hurricane that hit the land where my ancestors have always lived, that is in Tamaulipas. And this hurricane destroyed all the different crops that were produced in this area. In our case, we were cotton producers. But my grandfather saw that the only resilient plants were all the cactaceous plants and all the agave plants, you know, that they were really resilient to all the extreme weathers, and in this case to the hurricane. So after he got this insight, and he loved tequila, and he was friend of some of the big tequila tycoons, such as John Sousa at that time. So he made a deal with them that, okay, so I will plant your agaves and take care of them when they were small, you know, because it's when they are more vulnerable to diseases and to other things, and there are more labor demand. And after X amount of time, I will sell them back to you so you can plant them in Jalisco. So when this time arrived, around between 1 year and 1.5 years, he thought he was going to receive, I don't know, $1 per plant. I am only talking the number, you know. And when this moment arrived, Mr. John Sousa and the other potential clients, that there were only 10. It's not like today that you see 400 brands, 200 distilleries. In the past, it was not like that. They were only big tycoons, the ones that were doing it, or very artisanal guys, you know. So they told him, oh, you remember, Guillermo, you are a great friend of us, but we were going to pay you $1, but today is going to be 20 cents, you know. So my grandfather was not happy with that. So he decided that he was not going to lose his credibility. So he started thinking about building his own distillery, building his own brand. So he did that in 1972. That's why we are 50 years old. But he also started a new battle because, as you all know, and it even today, sometimes even with close friends, it's difficult for them to understand that Chinaco or other brands of tequila are produced outside Jalisco. You know, like everybody says, yes, Jalisco tequila, and it's not that. Is today there are 5 states in Mexico and some municipalities inside these states that can produce tequila. But at that time, it was exclusively Jalisco, right? So he started a battle that it took him around 6 years in order to get the denominación de origen, the NOM, to Tamaulipas to be included there. So it was a big battle with all the tycoons, and also with all this type of agave spirits were produced, and that was the base of the case he made to the authorities in Mexico, because in the pre-Hispanic times, also Tamaulipas did and continue to produce agave spirits. Maybe they were not called tequila, and with all this historic support and all the town support, he was able, and the quality of the product, he was able, because he was already, the bet was on the table. You know, he built the building, he put the agaves, he made the liquor or the spirit at that time. So he convinced the authorities, and we received in 1972 the denomination of origin that include Tamaulipas, and Gonzales, that is, as our last name, there is a small town where the distillery is, that is called Gonzales, Tamaulipas. If anyone in the audience wants to Google it, you will find it, and you will always be welcome. That's also your home, CJ. So he started producing the tequila, and he was very enthusiastic. And there was when he met Robert Denton, and everything started unfolding from there on. So if you want to click it in order for me to continue to share a little bit more, CJ. So once, if you can clear it once again, I think it's more visual, the next one. So this is the picture of my grandfather, as you can see, of the grandfather of my grandfather. So it's a little bit far away from me, but you can see that he has no hand, and you can see that is when he's wearing the presidential band. That is a symbol in Mexico, and he used whenever. So he was the first president, I think, after Maximiliano, to live in the Chapultepec Castle. Maximiliano was the last emperor. It was a European emperor that was put here by Napoleon when they French conquered Mexico in a way. So he was the first Mexican president to live in the castle. And today you will see there a painting, and the Chinacos, the picture that you see in the right, were in the Guerra de Reforma, on the Reform War in Mexico, and during the French intervention. The Chinacos were these people they were not like, more kind of militia in a way. They were not formal army, that they ride their horses, and they were very brave and ferocious. So when my grandfather, when he was going to sleep and heard the stories about his grandfather told him, they always told him that the army were not the ones that make the difference. The difference was made by the people, and especially the Chinacos. And that's why the name is Chinaco, no? That's something that I wanted to share, because now you know how history and culture gets transformed. It's difficult for people even in Mexico to know what is a Chinaco. So it's a work that we need to do, Gustavo and all the Chinaco team, but they were very brave. And I think if you see the story of what the brand has suffered or battled across his history, I think it's a spirit that resembles what we are. So if you want to go forward, CJ. So this is a little bit of the timeline. What I was telling you about the hurricanes hitting, my grandfather started producing agaves, the inauguration of the distillery that was around September 1972. They start getting battling to get the denomination of origin. We get the denomination of origin around 1977, 1978. We receive our NOM, something that I imagine a lot of your community knows. But each distillery has its own NOM number, So this NOM that is called 1127 is only for products that are produced in our distillery. In this case, we are one of the few distilleries that only produces one label. And of the ones that produce one label, there are even less distilleries that are family owned. So in that sense, we are something that we are really, really proud, and also show the spirit of what we are. And as I was mentioning, 1983, we arrived to the US market, and from that we have continued to evolve. And if you can click, CJ.
So before we go forward,
yes,
I recall you saying that you are one of the first ultra premium brands in the United States.
Yes.
So the claim is we are the first. That's
Yes.
the claim that is, well, I was not born because I'm a 1984 guy, but all the documentation and the support and all the communities that I have read about, and a part of the family that they can tell you everything in the family, So it's documented to be the first brand that enter as a premium product in the US, and a premium at that time was 100%. Because everything was a mixed tequila, the classic Jose Cuervos that we all know, etc. That was what was live there only in the universities and in the worst parts. That's something that was changed by Robert Denton and the enthusiasts at that time.
And you still hear his name, especially with the Chinaco brand today. I have a good friend up in Omaha that has a very good library of Chinaco tequila, and I believe I sent you guys one day a photo of a bottle that he had opened up that was one of the first teardrop repos that you guys had produced. And I have to say, from the bottom of my heart, that is probably one of the most amazing tequilas I've ever had go past my lips. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yes, and that bottle is not in this timeline. So when the second generation that is Gustavo and my father, my uncles start, my grandfather started retiring in a little bit or going hands off. They start and they relaunched it. The market was becoming more premium, so they launched the teardrop bottle. I think it's around 93, and it was a big success because it's a beautiful bottle. Something also that it was not sustainable because, in the sense, now you need to compete with a very crowded shelf.
Yes.
And at the same time, you remember the bottle because you enjoy it. You have the golden letters, you have the bottle. If you put that 4 meters in a bar crowded, the bottle gets lost,
Yes.
So it was part of the decision. It was a shame because we loved that bottle and we had some fails, exercises of packaging, but now we're really happy with this new administration. 2 years ago, we launched the current package that I see you have some bottles in the back.
Yes.
And I will show a little bit of more. I'll talk a little bit about them a little bit later. And now we think that we got we try to rescue the teardrop shape, but at the same time to have these attributes that also help us differentiate in a shelf, that at this moment, being so dynamic and so visual, the shelves is something that needs to be considered a part of having a great product. That is where we are focusing all our efforts.
Okay, now let me go forward for you.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
this is this is something that I feel very proud of, the work done by my grandfather, the enthusiasts, the people in the distillery. It's important to say that the average age, or it's not age, but the average longevity of the people in the distillery, it's like 27 years in average. So this is something that they recognize, and for me, I always use this as a reference because it's something that we feel very proud. In the left is an article from the early 90s where David Goodrich, that is wine and spirits, one of the top writers and leaders in the industry, he ranked the 10th most influential spirits at that time of the last 25 years. And there is a teardrop bottle, and it was the number one most influential. I don't want to feel sad because it's something that I think we didn't explode in the way that we didn't share this and we didn't follow up on this. But I see all the other brands that are in the picture. Maybe they are small, but you see Henrik's Gin, you see Grey Goose, you see brands that today had an enormous presence. At that time, when the leadership was not really fully interested in commercialize, this, it was kind of a hobby. I don't want to say it was not a business, but when I see this, is something that I feel very proud. And in the right side, I put some conversations that I have gathered in the community that I belong, or where they ask questions. And for me, it's very important to see how these bottles of the initial of my grandfather, of my father, of my uncles, now are worth thousands of dollars, because they are considered unicorns in a way. I still keep
Absolutely.
some of them for any. I want to have a toast with my son that is 10 years, so I have to wait 11 more. Or maybe if he needs to go to the university, I have my 5 bottles to exchange for maybe a semester there, right? No, but it's something that we feel really proud. And that's why also myself, my uncle, we were discussing how can we take this to the next level. That for us, next level is to for people to know better who we are and to taste our product. This is something that pushes us to do it. We want to. It's not maybe in a European country. If I say that I have a whiskey of 50 years, is not too much, but for tequilas today, I think we are a special story, having our own distillery, having our own business, our own family business, and having a brand that has survived for 50 years and has had an amazing story. So if you can click it, CJ. So a little bit of what we think it make us different, apart of the geographic location. We are, I imagine everybody knows Mexico, and we are your neighbors. But apart of that, Jalisco is in the Pacific coast, and in general, the plantations in Jalisco are, you have the sea, you have the mountains, and you have the plantations. And in general, for the ones that have been there, you see when you go to visit these amazing tours that they are doing in the distilleries and in the agave fields, there is a lot of volcanic soil. It's more volcanic, it's more in that way. And the weather is less harsh compared to Tamaulipas. In Tamaulipas, the difference is we have the sea, we have the plantations, and we have the mountains, okay? So that makes everything in our way, and the people that are enthusiastic of the brands, they see the terroir of our liquid more salty, more minerality in that. And it's not only because of that, also the soils is more clay, the one that you will find in Tamaulipas versus the one that you will find in Jalisco. This also has an impact, because we have our agaves living in a more harsh weather. It's like Texas weather. You have the hottest temperatures, but also like 2 weeks ago in Texas, they had a -10 degrees, right? So the plant gets more stress that compared to Jalisco. And in that sense, also, it takes around, in average, 2 years more to maturity. In Jalisco, I can tell you that now the average is 8 to 9 years. In Tamaulipas, it can be up to 12. It's not that we harvest we choose the plants. We don't harvest, all the lot, but it's in average is around 11 years what we are harvesting, and it's a challenge.
So
and
you
more
more hand select your agaves rather than just harvesting an entire field.
Exactly what we do. We are not fully integrated. I want to state that clear, but we are growing year by year the integration. Today, I think we finished 2023. Maybe Gustavo will correct me, but around 39% of what we produce was done with our own agaves. But something that is great, and maybe today not so great, you all may remember that agave prices soared in the last decade.
Mhm.
From 1 peso, that is like 10 cents of a dollar or less, it almost reached $1.50. Imagine. So now it's tending to very like this, lower, because it's offer and demand. When you see everybody making a lot of money selling agaves, everybody thought that it was going to be business, you know. But when everybody thinks the same thing at the same time, you know what happens.
Yeah.
Prices go low. So, but what we have done is being a family business and being part of a community has helped us to make deals, long-term deals with people. Maybe today I will not pay you $1.50, but I can pay you $1. But I can assure you I will pay you $1 for 5 years, you know? So we are also supported by the community, and we are, since the new packaging, we are pushing for full agave from Tamaulipas in our tequila. Maybe in the past it was difficult, but now today, with all the prices that soar, everybody planted, and with all these deals that we are doing with the community, that also help us, you know, because we want to, and I wanted to share, I know we are talking almost to all US colleagues or fellows here, but in Mexico, also the competition and the market is very crowded. From fine and great tequilas, we already have bad tequilas, night bottles, you know, it's crowded.
Right.
So what we are doing today is working on a positioning of the tequila from the north, or the tequila from Tamaulipas, you know, because at the end, Mexico is not as big as the US, but we are almost 140 million people living in Mexico. And if we are able to own the north of Mexico with a brand that identifies with the consumers there, that is very quality driven, that has a nice packaging, that represents quality of the things that are performing the north of Mexico, is where we are focusing. And we are very proud to be the only producers of tequila in Tamaulipas. And it's complicated because I don't know if you know, and I am not trying to get in specific, but you know, the CTR, that is El Consejo Regulador de Tequila, is based in Jalisco. They have a beautiful building there, and they have beautiful standards and professionalism with the way they do things. So every time we do anything in the distillery, we need to fly a guy from the CTR, you know. If we are going to harvest agaves, we need to have a guy there. If we are going to make a production, a guy needs to be there. If we are going to put to age things, you know, everything is so controlled, and it's something that I am very honored to be part of an industry. And I promise you that everybody is following a standard, and there is a lot of compliance to that standards, and I am very happy. But answering your question, we are really fully committed to select mature plants. And now with all the, you know, when you are in a community and they are not pushing to sell you an entire lot, because they know you are going to buy it and you are beside, so it's a win-win situation, you know, in order to assure you have the sugar levels that we want in order to have a quality product. They know they already sold it, so it's keep it there, gain 1 or 2 extra pounds, and we will come back in 6 months, you know. So it's the way we are doing it. And now I am sorry for other producers of agave. Now that the price is low, it's because there is a lot of offer, you know. And I hope with this the quality will increase. But I also expect that the producers take the responsible figure, in the sense that we don't want that the prices crash and everybody stops planting agave, you know. So we need to make long-term deals and continue to contribute to having a healthier community around our agave plants or production sites. And it's what we are doing. And I see a lot of this also being done by other colleagues in the industry. And it's the way we can have a quality product with a healthy margin for us and for the producers of agave, that at the end we are all integrated and we are all in the same boat, including yourself and all the enthusiasts of tequila, CJ.
So you mentioned you're really looking for a particular sugar level within it. Is there a particular Brix level that, at least that we know of, that you're trying to shoot for before you harvest or put it through your guys' system to make tequila?
So if you can go forward, I will share with you that insight. So this is a distillery. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is the distillery of that founded my grandfather in 1972. As you can see, we have the Tamaulipas land there. We have a mountain there that is El Cerro del Bernal, that is very famous, and it appears even in the car plates of Tamaulipas. You know, it's like the symbol there. And just below that, you will see is where the family ranch is. It's called El Rosillo, and it has been by a lot of generations, and is where we are planting agave, and around that a lot of people and community members are doing that. And answering your question, the agaves that we are looking for are above 25 bricks. That is a challenge, I want to say. When there is a lot of scarcity, it was a challenge, mainly when we began this 3 years ago, when the price was around 35 pesos. Today, you can find agaves, quality agaves at 12 pesos, you know. And there are a lot because the cycles are completing, you know. So we are looking around this, and it's a very, in our land, it's more difficult to reach these levels, you know. You need more maturity, you need more time, and with that, all the producer, including ourselves, you have your money sitting there, you know. And sometimes it's difficult to manage when you are not a big, you know, a big company, you know, like Cuervo, like Herradura. The working capital is key, you know, and we want to keep this a family business. And in that sense, that's why we are very proud of the people that are around us in the town that is called Gonzales, Tamaulipas, as you mentioned, and other towns that are also have relevant agricultural persons dedicating their lands and their labor to agave. And these people are the ones that sustain us and are the ones that we thank every time that we produce, because we know we have the right quality plants at the right moment and really close to the distillery. So that's something that makes us proud. If you can click, CJ. So our process today is the same process that my grandfather implemented in 1972. And it's something that I want to be really clear about that. What we have is, we cook the agave for around 12 hours in an autoclave. And after these 12 hours, we process them in a sugar cane that was from the early 20th century. And it's impressive the work, the maintenance people have to do in order to put it to work every time we produce. And with that, we extract the mosto, and we put it in the past they were good, but due to having a more quality-oriented product, we have stainless tanks that we start the fermentation process. Something that we are very proud is we have reproduced our own yeast since the inception of the distillery. We have our on-site lab, and we have our own yeast. Maybe it's not as fast as other yeast, I can imagine, but for us is something that makes us really proud. And after that, we have 2 distillations, the destrozamiento and the rectification process. And we do this in the same steels that my grandfather used, that in the inside they are covered by copper. And it's also impressive, and it's something that I learned because I was more in the commercial side and the operation part. But whenever Gustavo invites me to visit him, I always see the amount of work, and I would say they are artists in order to keep all the machines running after 50 years in a harsh weather, humid weather. And after The distillation, we for the Blanco, we will let them rest a couple of days before bottling it. And if you can click it, CJ.
There we go.
So here is our Blanco. In the past, we used to do two Blancos, one for the Mexican market that was 38 degrees of alcohol or 38 proof. And today we are only focusing on doing real tequila, that is, in this case, for the Blanco interpretation that we have, and as my grandfather had, is 40 proof. And for us, and is my personal favorite, Gustavo now is changing to añejo, but I think he's also loves this. I love to drink it straight, and I think it's the one that better shows what a tequila is, and also what a Tamaulipas tequila is, because you see the minerality. We have a lot of also of plant, not ourselves, but a lot of neighbors in the lands where the agaves are produced. It's a citric industry, you have a lot of oranges, lemons, whatever. And I don't know, for me, everything is transferred to the plant, and this is what a tequila, for me, is what a tequila should always be, a tequila Blanco, and is the one that it makes us more proud. And also we see a strong trend in Mexico, mainly, where we were a land where the reposados were the kings, of sales and volume. And today I see a lot of people changing to Blanco, and it's something, I don't know if because I am young, but I am also, is my personal favorite. And you can go click it. And next is the reposado. That was our main franchise in Mexico. We do it a little bit different. In the market, the average, to be a reposado, it has to be between 2 months until a year that becomes an añejo. In this case, we are very close to a year, because since my grandfather, he wanted to distinguish really well each type of product, So in this case, the reposado, as I was mentioning, was really popular in Mexico in general. And I also think it has a good equilibrium, between the freshness and the tastes of a Blanco, and also all the flavors and characters that are provided by the barrel. And it's also a product that I think you can sip it really well. And it's also, and I like also to have, even though I am more like a straight drinker of tequila, sometimes having some cocktails with aged products such as a reposado añejo, they also put a character there, and it's also really, really nice to taste. If you can go to the next slide, CJ. And the añejo, that has always been our flagship in the US market, is what differentiated the brand in the early 70s, and is the one that a lot of enthusiasts love the most. Our añejo is aged almost 2.5 years. That it's a lot in compared to what we see in the market, and it has been a challenge, because you see, with all the scarcity of product and how the industry has gone, a lot of brands, and I don't know if some of you have noticed this in the market, in the last 2 years, there was a lot of scarcity of añejo because of planning. Tequila has grown like this, and to have an añejo, it takes time and process, and there's a lot of compliance to the regulation. So what you buy is what you get, In that sense, it has been a challenge for us to satisfy the demand, because when we enter, it's not that the Blanco, you can almost immediately start producing Blanco, but the añejo, you need to see, in our case, we need to be 30 months in advance. We need to know what is going, what the demand will look like. And in this case, we struggled a little bit with the forecast, because we were not as positive as things have come to us. But now we are really betting a lot of working capital in our distillery, investing a lot in agaves, in barrels. That's also a part of aging that I want to highlight. That is an art. Whenever you or any other, or the participants of the call, if you ever visit a distillery, the people that are in charge of giving maintenance to the barrels, it's impressive. I have tried it myself. and I'm not successful in that work. And in our case, something we are rehabilitating the barrels that have always been in the family, and that I hope that will become a problem later in time, because the demand will surpass our capacity regarding barrels. But we have barrels that have been with us, and it's not a history, because we have all the data to prove it, more than 35 years. So all the work that is put in order to continue to using it, in order for them to be healthy, in order to produce a quality product, is impressive, and something that we feel very proud. If you can click once again, CJ, something that you may saw in the U.S. market last year. One of the things and the projects that we engage, my father and uncles, when the brand had 35 years anniversary, they launched a Chinaco Emperador that is also a unicorn in the industry, that it was a añejo tequila that commemorates the anniversary. We also thought that 50 is a lot, so what can we do to commemorate this? So we launched a 600 unit production of this special product, and I will start by the packaging, that I think it's fabulous, and Gustavo and the rest of the family did a tremendous work developing it. But it's something that we rescue in our warehouses. We find some bottles from the early 80s that were empty, and that are the same that the unicorns that we saw. They were empty, and they were, at that time, all the bottles almost in the industry used to have a cap, that you screw. So we polished that part. We put a small cork there, and we use these bottles to host the liquid. And the liquid is very special, because before departing, my grandfather, or dying, sorry for being so direct, he continued to be engaged with the distillery, with his cattle, with his ranches there, and he was an añejo enthusiast. So the last batch that he produced was lot 89, that was commercialized, most of it, but around some liters were put in some glass jars that I don't remember if I share the pictures, but I will share it, CJ, after the call. And he put the caps on these big 20 liters jars, and he put it there, and they were, I don't want to say lost, because they were part of the inventory, but they were never used. So when we were discussing this, even though we are very proud of what we are doing today, we need to connect with the past. So we challenged ourselves and decided that we were going to have a blend between this alcohol and what we are doing, and the best añejo that we are doing today, and that's the idea, that the liquid that you will see in the bottle, or you will enjoy in the bottle, is 1/3 the alcohol of my grandfather, that even though it was in glass jars, the product evolves, in a way, and you have some evaporation, you have some alcohol. I don't want, everything transforms, because it's not fully sealed, In some of the containers, we have product that had 38 degrees of alcohol. In other, we have 44, In other, some methanol start developing, we have some. That's why also the blend was important, to level all these distortions, but also to be and we have the challenge to be a good recipient of this quality and historic product. And I think the result of that was amazing. And it went really fast. At the beginning, being a small family-owned business, we thought, let's do 600, because it's a good number, and it will take a couple of years to dilute that. But I promise, it went really fast, and we start having a black market in Tijuana, people buying it. And today, everything finished except 80 bottles that continue to be in the distillery, and we are selling to very select people. And also, we want to keep them, because I love the idea of my grandfather being an enthusiast, and he did it because of the passion, not about the symbols, But we are trying to build up our own museum, It's something that I hate when I go to a friend's house and I see a bottle that I don't have, and they will not sell it. And if they sell it, they want my car in exchange, something. So it's something. So we want to build up on the heritage and having our own museum in the distillery. If you can click, CJ, we're almost finishing. Sorry for talking too much, but I am passionate about this.
Let me pause you because I just want to re-emphasize and correct me if I'm wrong. So these are bottles from your grandfather that was found in the back of the warehouse that you decided to use to make this amazing presentation with juice from your grandfather that was stored in 5-liter bottles, if I remember correctly.
20.
So it were like 20 little jars. I will send you the picture.
Yes.
So they were
you
stored.
decided to bottle it. So essentially, this is stuff from potentially Paper Label or Teardrop.
Yes. So
that is bottled
Paper Label.
Very limited release.
Exactly. So the rest of this lot, that is lot 89, was bottled in Paper Labels. And my grandfather, he was an enthusiast, and maybe he thought he had more time later to drink it. So he put this liquid in these jars. That is like, in Mexico, we call it garrafones. It's like, this is very big size and glass, and they were left there. Even it was a challenge because, as I was telling you about how compliant is the CTR.
Yes.
So today, for the ones that do not know, everything you do in your distillery, you put it in a CRM or in a program that is controlled by the CTR, so everything is transparent. You need to put your liters, you need to put your productions, everything. So the paperwork, in order to mix it, we needed to, almost show, a humid stains paper, and because it's very strange for liquid to be alive,
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, we are very proud. And yes, the bottles are the ones that were used in the past. If you see here, you have the ranch mark in the glass, and maybe I don't have the bottle here, but if you turn it the other way around, you will see that all descriptions in the bottom of the bottle, where you will see Tequila is exactly the same bottle. So the important part is the liquid and the commemoration, but all these elements make it really special, CJ, as you just mentioned.
It is a very, I'm going to say, sexy story.
Exactly.
Just because, there's so much history that goes along with this bottle, and the juice inside of it, which your great grandfather had made, and we all have appreciated from that generation.
Exactly, and we are very, very proud, and I hope soon we can be down there. I will send you, CJ. I am just here in my cell phone, because you will see the color of the tequila and the jars, and the whole story behind is really interesting, and it was a challenge, and it will be great to try it soon together and your community, CJ.
Okay, I will. I'll go forward, and then when we get to the end, I'll see if I can display those images.
You will have it
Whole family.
So your email, CJ, I just sent you the picture of the colleagues in the distillery opening this. So this is the portfolio that a part of this special edition that we are offering here in Mexico. In the US, today, since the last 2 years, we are only focusing on Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. In the Negro, we are just relaunching the Negro because we didn't have the liquor, we have some, but in our paladar, it didn't achieve the standards of what Chinaco Negro for us needs to be. But today we are almost there to reaching the maturity level and the flavor levels that we want to put in that bottle. And we expect to return to the US market in the second semester. And before... Yes.
The Chinaco Negro is a extrañejo.
Okay. Sorry for missing that. So the Chinaco Negro is an extrañejo that was launched in the tour bottle, and we continue to keep it in the tour bottle. And but as I was mentioning, due to the planning, forecasting, and the flavor profile that we were looking for, we were not there because we are looking for the extreme quality. But today I can tell you that in the second semester we will start commercializing that again, and it's fantastic. And we wanted to keep the original packaging of the tour bottle because I think it's also we have a lot of legacy, and sometimes you need these symbols to connect. And in the left side of the screen you will see two products that we are only. The first one is the one with the silver cap. It's called El Cielo. I was telling CJ that in Mexico there is a strong trend to drink tequila that has a softer essence, and softer flavors. It sounds counterintuitive, but whenever I go to the US, that you're Mexican, the tequila is strong for us, but for you it's not as strong. And in Mexico, you see this trend. Whenever you are here in Mexico, you will see that most of the tequilas, the mainstream tequilas that you drink in the US, in Mexico, they have another alcohol content, and you will see that they will be 5 to 20% less alcohol in the liquid versus what you see in the US. So here in Mexico, we also understand that there is customers there, and also a lot of female customers there, and females are the vast majority, and they own us in a way. In Mexico, it's like that, the culture. So in that sense, we also find the niche in order to produce for all this market, and it's a low proof blanco. It's 30 degrees alcohol, and we also find we are using, in order to lower our blanco to this level, we are using there is the most important national park in Tamaulipas is called El Cielo, okay, and it's beautiful. You should Google it. And there are a lot of springs around, and we are sourcing the water from these springs in order also to put more of our land in this liquid, and it has been a tremendous success, and we are very proud about that. And just 2 months ago, we start opening access to this bottle that you see in the left, the one with the black cap. Is called Cinco Décadas, that is 5 decades in English, because we are 5 decades and we are commemorating that, and it's 100 proof blanco. Ooh. And all the agaves using here are the ones that come directly from my grandfather. The ones that, is the ones that are besides, it's no longer a house because you cannot stay there. It's too old and scary to stay there. A lot of ghost stories around that. But all the agaves around that are the ones that we use to produce the first 1,000 bottles, that are the ones that we are starting to share with friends, to sell to clients in Mexico. And we are hoping also to start sharing that with our enthusiasts in the US. And that's our family. A part of Gustavo and other uncles and other cousins that I have, this is our family. We feel very proud about this. And we feel it's already enough. It's big, and a lot of work is performed because we are a small team in the distillery. We are only 14 people. And having too many SKUs and ideas is crazy,
Yes.
But we are very proud, and I think we have a complete team. And we are ready to conquer. I don't know, before we go to the Q&A or any doubt, if you want to show your email, the picture that I send you, maybe you can. Yes. I don't know if you can. If not, just share it later with your community. But once again, CJ and team, from Gustavo, myself, we thank you so much for the space and the opportunity to share our history. It's a shame that I was not able to be in the distillery with all this due to Alaska Airlines airplane. All the airplanes in Mexico are also a mess. We have a lot of 737 MAX. That's the name of the airplane.
Yes.
And I am in a hotel room with no tequila, only a bottle of water. but happy to be here.
Well, I really appreciate you guys joining us today. A lot of the story came out that I I do truly enjoy hearing about. You know, it's like having your grandfather telling you your his fishing stories or his war stories. You know, you just are in a maze of everything that happens, and I am truly blessed to have you both here with us tonight. And I enjoyed chatting with you, especially with Chiefs,
Yeah.
making it there. So I will be texting you over hopefully the next few weeks until we make it to the Super Bowl and
Yeah.
hopefully get you guys' feedback on that. And so what can we expect from Chinaco coming forward? I mean, I know we briefly hit on it quickly right before we went live and stuff like that. And I hear you got some pretty good stuff coming.
So I can tell you, I can divide that in three main, I don't want to say strategies, but main tactics. One is having a complete portfolio and having innovation. I think we did it with the packaging, with all these new SKUs that we build around the mainstream brand, the mainstream categories. And in that sense, for us, I think it's already a check. We already did it. Now what we are doing is more in now that we have solved that and all the other parts that are more operational, the sustainability of our operations, assuring the quality of our operations, everything. Now we are turning to how can we take all this quality and all this heritage to the market. And that's why I see two things. One is the international market. We are very proud that we are not looking only to the US, even though it's bigger than Mexico in as a market. But we see that tequila is a trend everywhere. Maybe in your community, you may have people from Europe, whatever. We
Yeah,
are already.
UK and Japan are huge.
No, I have been in Tokyo, and there are tequila bars that have more tequilas than some bars in Mexico. You say, come on, when enthusiasts can change everything. So we already have a warehouse in Rotterdam, in Netherlands, and we are betting a lot of our efforts on that. And we already enter Italy, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Portugal. We are all in 6, almost 7 markets in Europe, something that makes us really proud because, we need to be everywhere. We want to share with everyone our tequila. And in the most important markets, we are in this stage of how, even though the US is big, it's crowded in a way. You see a lot of competition, you see a lot of things. So we have not solved the right equation of how being a small family owned, but having quality, having heritage, how can we approach the market in a successful way? And it's something that we have a struggle. We have to recognize that. But now that we have all the other variables solved in a way, we are going, is the objective of 2024 for Gustavo, myself, and the whole team in Chinaco is how can we find an efficient way to be able to share our product and to be attractive to the enthusiast in the US market. That is where, even though it's the biggest one and the one that we want to be more, and maybe the one that we have more heritage, I think we have not nailed the way to be present in the market, And in the case of Mexico, we are doing really well. We have triple in size in the last 2 years. So triple and triple, so it's impressive. And it's something that makes us really proud because people in the north of Mexico and in Tamaulipas can be proud of having a tequila, and having quality, having a beautiful product. And it's what we are doing, and we are doing it in a successful way. So for us, what can you expect? You can expect for us to be closer to you in the US market. I cannot say how, but we are working on that. And we are also working on keeping the family dream and the dreams of my grandfather alive. And I hope that maybe next time that we see, not next time, but in a couple of times, after a couple of times, maybe Gustavo's son will be present in the conversation. Maybe my son will be present because it's great, as you just mentioned, talking about with your grandfathers about what they live,
Mhm.
you know, making, you know, now that I don't have my grandfather, I regret a lot of things. And I imagine Gustavo the same with his father, because he's tremendously proud to have heritage, you know, and everybody of us has some of it. But I think that Gustavo, myself, have been very lucky to have a lot of history and a lot of things to be proud of. And in that sense, we want to share that with the whole market and with all the enthusiasts in the US. And that's what you can expect for us to be more present. And I hope with this conversation and the help of you and the community and a better of the understanding of what we are and the persons behind the brand is something that can be easier, because it's in a so crowded market, it's difficult. Even you can have the right variables in the product, the packaging, everything,
Yes.
but it's difficult. But we are, as you saw, we are Chinaco, so we are ready to battle difficult wars.
All right, guys. I really appreciate it again. I'm sure the community appreciates it again. I'm sure we'll see some posts coming up here pretty soon.
Thank you,
I
CJ.
greatly appreciate you guys. And if there's anything we can do for you here in the future, please let us know.
No,
Thank you.
nothing, CJ. Let's stay connected, and only you can do something for Gustavo, that is a cowboy fan. Maybe next year you can help him a little bit.
My
Worry about the results.
my favorite team is Chiefs. I always call CJ for Sunday's game.
Yeah. Maybe we'll if we win the Super Bowl, we'll drink that red bottle or that red box in the back.
Perfect. We will visit you. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Gustavo. Have a nice weekend and a happy Friday tomorrow with some tequila, CJ.
Absolutely. Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
See you.
Bye bye.